All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of Let's Talk Sports by the Lake. I'm Julian Howell.
And I'm Jake Bartko.
And today we're going to discuss the first week of the NFL season, including some trending topics, and the MLB season, which is in the last month of the season. So, like I said, we're 1 week into the NFL season, and we're going to make predictions on each division. I know we're late to the party, but we'll start with the AFC. So how about the AFC East, Jake?
Well, Julian, my prediction for the winners is no surprise this year in the AFC East. The defending champion New England Patriots are my prediction to win the AFC East this year.
That's my prediction as well. You know, they still have Tom Brady. They still have Bill Belichick. They have Gronkowski. And, you know, despite that 42-27 loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're going to get together and win that division. I mean, no team makes an adjustment like the Patriots.
I agree. I agree. Even the loss, of Julian Edelman, I think they'll have some guys that'll step up and play receiver for them. They have a plethora of receivers at running back as well. But I think, like you said, no one makes an adjustment like the Patriots do. So I think we'll be seeing them again in the playoffs this year. How about the AFC North? Who's your prediction in the Great North?
I have to go with the Steelers because they still have Ben Roethlisberger. They have Antonio Brown. Who else? Le'Veon Bell. And I think that defense will be better this year. They have a young player in T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt's little brother. And they have Joe Hayden from the Cleveland Browns, and they still have Hayward, and they also have I think they still have Lawrence Timmons as well. So they have a good defense, and I think they'll be good this year.
I agree. Unfortunately, it's sad to say. I have to say that the Steelers are going to win the AFC North again this year. They just currently beat the Browns, so they're 1-0. I agree with their defense going to be a little bit better this year. But they're still going to be carried by Big Ben on offense and the playmakers that they have. Moving on to the AFC South, my pick for the AFC South this year is the Tennessee Titans. I think Marcus Mariota is really coming into his own as a quarterback of the Titans. They added some young receivers for playmakers this year. Of course, they still have DeMarco Murray and Delanie Walker, the elder statesmen on the team. But I think the Titans are really going to make a push deep in the playoffs this year. What's your prediction?
My prediction is the exact same team as you, the Tennessee Titans. Like you said, Marcus Mariota is coming into his own. He's getting better. I think he's eager to bounce back from the injuries plague season last year. And, you know, they have Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray, so they have a really good 1-2 puncher running back. They drafted Corey Davis, who could develop into Marcus Mariota's number one receiver. They have some playmakers on defense, and that defense is coached by Dick LeBeau, the longtime Steelers defensive coordinator.
Right.
So I think I like the Titans in that division.
All right. And last but not least, in the AFC, who do you have in the AFC West? Who's going to win that division?
The Oakland Raiders.
The Oakland Raiders.
Yes, I believe in Derek Carr. He got injured near the end of last season. I feel like he has something to prove. He just got paid all that money.
Yep.
And
big contract.
I mean, maybe they could have gone farther in the playoffs last year if he had been healthy, because they had to start. Connor Cook and I think Matt McGloin played as well. So it just really wasn't a good situation for him. But I think they have a chance this year. They also have Marshawn Lynch, Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree. They have Khalil Mack coming off that edge, and I just see them going far, and maybe they'll end the Patriots dynasty. I really love that narrative of the Patriots dynasty started in Oakland with that controversial tuck fumble.
Right.
And maybe Derek Carr could end it.
That would be ironic. It would be ironic. I also have the Oakland Raiders. Big surprise there. No. I think Derek Carr is going to have a great year coming back off that injury. The signing of Marshawn Lynch, as you said, was a huge signing in the offseason.
Definitely.
Him coming out of retirement, I think he's going to really solidify the ground game there in Oakland. They've really built up that offensive line. It's something I think the Cleveland Browns are starting to mirror as they build up their franchise, solidify the offensive line, draft some nice young playmakers. And I think the Raiders are going to make it far this year.
Okay,
you want
yes.
to handle the NFC?
Okay, so let's move on to the NFC. So let's start with the NFC East. Who do you have winning that?
Well, I have the Dallas Cowboys, again, winning the NFC East this year. They have, of course, a young core of playmakers on their team. Dak Prescott. Ezekiel Elliott's suspension has been pushed back. We're not really sure if it's going to happen this year or if it's going to happen at the beginning of next year. But he did play in Week 1, of course, and they won that game. So I have the Dallas Cowboys coming out of the NFC East this year. How about yourself?
I also have the Dallas Cowboys coming out of the NFC East. I mean, like you said, they have a really young nucleus of talent. Dak Prescott at the quarterback position. Ezekiel Elliott from The Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University.
And they still have Jason Witten, who's he's a future Hall of Famer, probably first ballot. And they also have Dez Bryant. And I'm looking forward to see how Jalen Smith plays this year. He was the first round pick in last year's draft that was injured all of last year. And looking forward to seeing how he does. And so I have the Cowboys winning the NFC East, but the Eagles could challenge the Cowboys this year.
Yeah, I agree with that statement as well. We'll see how Carson Wentz in his sophomore season does with the Philadelphia Eagles.
True.
The NFC North, I have the Green Bay Packers winning the NFC North again. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, or Aaron, as people call him. I think that he's going to lead the team to victory again in the NFC North. They obviously have some young talent. They have Ty Montgomery as their starting running back this year. He's, of course, a great pass catcher out of the backfield. And, of course, they have Jordy Nelson. They have Randall Cobb. They have quite the loaded receiving core. But what do you think about the NFC North? Who's the team you have coming out of there?
Well, we have agreed on every pick so far, but I have to go with the Detroit Lions because I feel like, Matthew Stafford, still has to prove himself. He has to win a playoff game. He's putting up big numbers every year, but, just had to win, the big games, win the division. They're playing the Packers at the end of the season this year, too. And they have Golden Tate. They have Marvin Jones. Hopefully they get something out of Amir Abdullah this year. And, I think maybe the defense could be good this year. They have Darius Slay at cornerback.
Didn't they draft some defensive players?
They drafted some defensive players as well. Jared Davis, who's going to start at the middle linebacker position. They have Jalen Tabor, who I don't think will play this year a whole lot. He'll probably take a red shirt year in the NFL and just kind of learn how to play defense in the NFL. But I think Matthew Stafford is one of the best pure passers in the NFL. And
highest paid player in the
highest
NFL.
Highest paid player in the NFL. And I think, they can challenge the Packers. I really do.
Awesome. That's a bold prediction, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
In the NFC South, who do you have coming out of the NFC South?
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Bucks. Right on the mark here.
I really have high hopes for Jameis Winston. He had a really good sophomore season, threw for 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. And he'll definitely have to get those interceptions down. But, he has Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson. They drafted O.J. Howard out of Alabama, the tight end.
Right.
They have Doug Martin. He's suspended right now, but he'll be back soon. And they also have Cameron Brate, the tight end who played really well last year. He had 8 touchdowns. And I love that defense. They have Gerald McCoy at the defensive tackle position. He's one of the best in the NFL. They have, who else they have? They have Levante David, who's a really good linebacker.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think they're a very well-rounded team now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to come out of that division strong. Of course, they're going to have to overcome the NFC champion Atlanta Falcons.
True.
The Falcons stumbled a little bit in their first game this year.
Oh, true.
The Bucks have a big test, but I think they have the firepower to do it on offense. How about the NFC West? Who's your prediction out of the NFC West?
I have to go with the Seahawks. Despite that Week 1 loss to the Packers, I really think the Seahawks will get it together. They have that great defense. They traded for Sheldon Richardson from the New York Jets. they still have the Legion of Boom. They have those linebackers, and they'll have to figure out who's going to be the running back for them, whether it's Thomas Rawls or Eddie Lacy. So
they also have C.J. Prosise.
C.J. Prosise. They still have Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett.
Yep, Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. So I think, that could be a tough division with, the L.A. Rams, who always have a good defense every year.
Right.
Despite the record. The Arizona Cardinals are good on defense. They have a good offense with Larry Fitzgerald, and they did lose David Johnson, but at the same time, I think they'll be competitive. And the Niners are trying to figure stuff out, but it could be tough, but I think the Seahawks will win that division.
I agree. That's who I have as well, is the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. I just really think Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in that division.
Easily.
Obviously, Jared Goff's in his second year with the LA Rams. They put up a great game in the first week of the season. Their defense always carries that team, so it'll be interesting to see if Todd Gurley has another great year. Yeah. But yeah, I have the Seattle Seahawks coming out of that NFC West. So it looks like all of our predictions are actually the same, except for the NFC North.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Packers versus the Lions. So,
I think so.
That'll be an interesting matchup to look for during the year, and we'll see who wins that debate.
Yeah.
The next thing we're going to talk about in the NFL is some different topics. We have some playoff wildcard predictions for each conference. Do you want to start with your AFC wildcard prediction?
Yeah, so I have the Kansas City Chiefs coming out of the AFC West as a wild card. And I also have the Denver Broncos coming out of the AFC West. So 3 AFC West teams, because that's a really good division this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 teams out of that division in the playoffs. And what do you have for the AFC, Jake?
For the AFC, I actually have the Chiefs as well. And I also have the Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens?
Yep, I think the AFC North is always very talented at the top, except for the Cleveland Browns. But I have the Chiefs coming out of the AFC West, and I also have like I said, the Baltimore Ravens coming out of the North.
Okay.
How about the NFC? What do you have for your wild card predictions?
Yeah, so I have the Falcons coming out of the NFC South. I think 2 teams will come out of the NFC South this year. And I also have the Vikings coming out of the NFC North. I feel like the Vikings will be really good this year. They have a great defense, and Sam Bradford played really well on Monday night against the Saints. And Dalvin Cook seems to be their running back of the future. He played really well.
So you don't think the Green Bay Packers are going to make the playoffs this year?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be the Vikings and the Lions.
Well, in my NFC wildcard predictions, I also have the Falcons coming out of the NFC South.
Yeah.
And then my second team is going to be a very bold prediction, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah. Philadelphia Eagles coming out of the NFC East. Again, I think Carson Wentz is really a great pick at quarterback there. They added some weapons this year. Alshon Jeffrey, a wide receiver.
Torrey Smith as well, I think.
Torrey Smith as well. So I think the Eagles are going to come out with the Cowboys. How about breakout teams? So what teams are going to come out of each conference that you think really have a good shot at going to the Super Bowl?
Out of each conference? So
yep.
I really like the Buccaneers to go to the Super Bowl. I think Jameis Winston, he's a great leader. He's gotten better every year, and I think he'll trim down the interceptions, and he can take them far with that offense, that talent on defense. So I like the Buccaneers for the NFC breakout team. But for the AFC, I like the Raiders to, get to the Super Bowl.
That's funny you say that. Honestly, folks, we didn't plan this. I have the Bucs and the Raiders as well. I think the Raiders, as you mentioned earlier, with Derek Carr coming back off his injury, I think they have a great shot at making it all the way this year. They added some great playmakers. How about breakout players from each conference? So basically, I picked Amari Cooper from the Raiders as being my breakout player of the year. Oh, yeah. I think he's going to get a lot of touches this year. He's young, he's still really talented, but I think he has the NFL experience now. I think the game's really slowed down for him, and I think he's going to have a breakout year. I'm predicting at least 12 touchdowns from Amari Cooper this year.
I think that's a good pick. I like Carson Wentz a lot. I think he'll have a big year. think he'll probably throw for 4,000 yards. He'll probably have that big jump like Derek Carr had.
Right.
And, I mean, something that people really don't talk about is that Carson Wentz is really athletic. He can move around that pocket, make people miss, and just throw some nice balls, So he's really athletic, sneaky athletic.
Let's talk about some of the week 1 games. Of course, we opened the week on Thursday night with the Patriots hosting the Chiefs in Foxborough. As you guys know, the Chiefs won big in that game.
Yeah, they did.
What was the score of that?
42-27.
42-27. The Patriots lost another home opener. I think it was a surprise to a lot of people how well Alex Smith played at quarterback.
Oh, yes.
What are your thoughts on that game?
So I was definitely surprised, because Tom Brady completed less than 50% of his passes, which never happens.
Right.
And they weren't really able to get the offense going. Like, we both have Rob Gronkowski on our defense,
Yes.
on our fantasy teams, I'm sorry. And Eric Berry just shut him down like the whole game. I mean, Gronkowski only had like 30 receiving yards. And yeah, I mean, Berry did a great job. And there was also a breakout player in Kareem Hunt. About 150 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, almost 100 receiving yards with a receiving touchdown.
98 receiving yards too.
And so the Chiefs looked really good. Alex Smith looked
like Tom Brady.
Looked like Tom Brady more than a game manager, which is the title he's often given.
Right.
For his play quarterback. Just being someone who doesn't turn the ball over, just throws a few passes. But he really aired it out on Thursday. So I think he's definitely playing well, but we'll have to see if this continues.
Yes, we shall see.
Yeah.
Another matchup we'll talk about is the Browns-Steelers matchup. Of course, me being a Browns fan, I was excited to see DeShone Kizer start his first NFL regular season game.
Yes.
He played well. His total QBR was 85 for the game.
Wow.
He ran for a touchdown. He threw for a touchdown, and I think he really played. He played as good as I could have expected against the Steelers in an opening game of the season.
True. I mean, I think DeShone Kizer definitely played well. He completed 20 of 30 passes for 222 yards. So that's about 67% completion. He did get sacked a lot, but he hung in there. When you're a rookie, it's always tough going against these athletic defenders. I mean, he got sacked by T.J. Watt 2 times and intercepted by T.J. Watt, and he seemed comfortable. Because a lot of NFL players throw a lot of interceptions in their first starts.
And he only threw 1, right?
He only threw 1. And Matthew Stafford, I remember, threw like 5 in 2009 against the Saints. So it's really difficult. But he hung in there and he kept them in the game. And it was 21-18, and it really had a difficult start to it with the blocked punt return. And that really seems like it's going to be a disaster. But they hung in there and he scored the rushing touchdown. He had a passing touchdown. So he did really well. And so let's move on to another game-defining play, Kenny Britt's drop. What are your thoughts about that?
I was watching the game live. I was really excited because the Browns were showing a lot of resilience. They were hanging in there tough in the game. And then you have a 3rd and 18, and Kenny Britt is wide open down the field, 20 yards deep at least, and he starts running without catching the football. So I was very very upset when Kenny Britt made that big drop in the 4th quarter against the Steelers. Of course, Hugh Jackson, the coach of the Cleveland Browns, was not very pleased with that performance by Kenny Britt, and has talked about Kenny Britt losing his starting job.
Yeah, it's crazy because it was a 2nd and 19. DeShone Kizer was sacked the play before. He throws the pass to Kenny Britt, who's wide open. There's no Pittsburgh Steelers around him. So that should have been an easy catch, and he drops it. And that was with 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter. And they ended up scoring with 3 minutes left in the 4th quarter. So, think about if he had caught that pass, maybe the Browns might be victorious, victors.
There's always the what ifs. It's just you got to perform on the field. So we'll see what Kenny Britt does in the upcoming weeks. Time will tell. Well, that about does it for our NFL special segment of Let's Talk Sports by the Lake. We'll be right back to talk about the last month of the baseball season. Welcome back to the baseball segment of Let's Talk Sports by the Lake, episode 6. We're here to talk about the MLB playoff races, Julian, and I'm very happy and excited to talk about the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians have won 20 games straight. They are currently playing the Detroit Tigers at this point in time. They're up 5-3 in the 8th inning, so hopefully they can make it 21 games, knock on wood. But they have won their last 20 games and are extremely hot right now, Julian. What do you think about the Cleveland Indians?
Oh, they're really hot, man. Like, Corey Kluber is playing really well. I mean, as a pitcher, he has a sub-3 ERA, 16 wins on the season, and they're really hitting well as well. You know, they have Edwin
Encarnacion,
Jose Ramirez, and they have multiple players who have hit 20 or more home runs. So that's huge for their offense, and I really look forward to seeing what they do the rest of the season and the postseason as well.
I agree. Of course, we can't talk about their offense without their star shortstop, who is now leading off, Francisco Lindor. Since moving him to the leadoff spot, the Indians' offense has really flourished. Of course, Jose Ramirez is having an MVP caliber season, filling in at second base for Jason Kipnis. The Indians are really hot right now. They still have Michael Brantley, Jason Kipnis, and Andrew Miller on the DL. So to have an amazing streak like this, 20 games, with all those players down, really shows their resilience and really how hot they are right now. We haven't seen a streak like this since the 2002 Oakland A's. And the Oakland A's streak stopped at 20. The Indians tied the AL record last night with their 20th straight win. Again, they're playing the Detroit Tigers right now. It's 5-3 in the 8th inning. So hopefully they'll make it 21 after today. Julian, the next topic we're going to talk about is the AL leader, Houston Astros. Since a little bit after the trade deadline, actually, they acquired the Detroit Tigers' longtime veteran, Justin Verlander.
Oh, yes.
Justin Verlander has obviously been a great pitcher for a long time in Detroit, but just having the Astros pick him up, I think for a playoff push is I think really important for their team. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'll just say this, it's really not surprising that they dealt Verlander, because it was really speculated that the Tigers would be sellers at the trade deadline, or that they would be in rebuilding mode going into this season. And, I think Justin Verlander adds, another good pitcher to that bullpen with Dallas Keuchel. And, I mean, like the Indians, they're also really good at hitting. Like, they have multiple players with 20 or more home runs, whether it's George Springer, Jose Altuve, and Carlos Correa. So I really hope that the Indians play the Astros in the World Series, not the World Series, but like the playoffs.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a great matchup. Of course, Carlos Correa is back off the DL now, so he's here to finish the regular season out with the Astros. I think it might be an ALCS or an ALDS matchup, just depending on how the records play out. But yeah, the Houston adding Justin Verlander is a huge deal for them. Let's lastly talk about the AL East race. The Yankees and the Red Sox, of course, are leading that race right now. Who do you think is going to finish in first, and why?
I think it's going to be the Yankees, because I think Aaron Judge will, take them to the postseason. And, they could be a wild card at worst. And I think they're pitching better as well.
I'm going to have to say the Boston Red Sox, so we're going to have to disagree on that. Aaron Judge has obviously had a great rookie season. He's already hit over 30 home runs. The Yankees are 4 back right now. They have a chance to overcome the Red Sox, but the Red Sox just have so much great pitching. They obviously have AL Cy Young candidate Chris Sale, but they have some great hitters too. They have Mookie Betts, they have Dustin Pedroia. So I'm going to have to go with the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think the Yankees are definitely going to lock up a wild card spot. Next, we're going to move on to the NL. So the biggest leader in the entire season has been the LA Dodgers, with, of course, already getting to 90-game wins. They have 93 right now, but they've been stuck at 90 for a while, Julian.
Yes.
What's been going on with the Dodgers?
Well, they actually had an 11-game losing streak, and they haven't won a game since September 1st. They won last night, but Yeah, they're still leading the whole league with 93 wins. You know, Clayton Kershaw is still playing well. Cody Bellinger has 36 home runs on the season. So you know, so the whole thing is really perplexing. But hopefully they get it turned around in time for playoffs.
Yeah, time will tell. I mean, the Dodgers seem like they were going to have a historic record this year. Of course, they got to 90 wins, I think the fastest ever by a major league team. But yeah, they've lost 11 out of their last 13. It's really been a colossal collapse of the Dodgers. So we'll see if they can get it back together before the playoffs start. The Washington Nationals are still in control of the NL East. Bryce Harper's been playing out of his mind still. You know, they still have obviously Anthony Rendon, Max Scherzer as a pitcher there. So they've really kind of taken over the East still. The NL Central race is still very tight. The Cubs are leading that right now. Do you think the Cubs are going to hang on and get back to the World Series?
Yeah, I think the Cubs will hang on.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope they do. I really would love to see an Indians-Cubs rematch in the World Series, similar to like the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, the Cavs went into the first NBA Finals and they ended up losing, but the Cavs were resilient, came back, and ended up winning the rematch. So I hope it's Indians-Cubs again.
You do?
But my premonition is it's going to be Indians versus the Dodgers.
Dodgers?
So. How about the NL West? I know there's is there going to be 2 wildcard teams out of the NL West? The Diamondbacks and the Rockies are still. The Diamondbacks had a win streak, I think, of 13 plus games, so they're still playing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, so the Arizona Diamondbacks have won 83 games. The Colorado Rockies have won 80 games. That's better than a lot of teams in the MLB right now, and they could be leading several divisions right now with those records. You know, imagine if they were in the NL Central.
Right, the NL Central has not done very well this year.
Yes.
Sorry, Buccos fans. I agree. I think it's phenomenal what the Rockies have been doing. You know, they haven't been to the playoffs in a while. I think they're on the brink of having a great contending team. But yeah, the Diamondbacks won a lot of games in a row. They have a great pitching staff, and they obviously have Paul Goldschmidt this year. But so it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that NL West and who's actually going to win the wild card in the NL. But again, final prediction, I'm saying Indians and Dodgers in the World Series. It's almost October, so we have about 20 games left of the regular season. But on that note, I'm just going to say thank you for joining us for episode 6 of Let's Talk Sports by the Lake. I'm Jacob Bartko.
I'm Julian Howell.
And until next time, roll Tribe.